Welcome back to Saturday edition of the Desmond Johnson Show here on WWBG 1470 AM here in Greensboro, here in the Triad of North Carolina, and of course online at tobaccoroadsportsradio.com. Desmond Johnson here with my good buddy Ben Troupe, former NFL tight end and co-host of Winning the Division. You can catch it every week on the Keep Pounding Podcast Network, powered by Tobacco Road Sports Radio and the Fans First Sports Network. It's basically a roundtable around the league weekly show that goes through everything. So who better to come on and to talk a little bit about what was going on around the league outside of the Carolina Panthers. Ben, what's up, man? How you doing, brother?
Always good to be on with you, Desmond, man. Let's do it, brother.
All right, let's hop into it. So we're going to do some quick hits. The main, I think, storyline coming out of week 2, quarterback injuries around the league. There's some big ones that are out there. To you, which one is the biggest one and why in terms of long-term outlook?
For me, I want to say Joe Burrow, but I think he's going to be out for the season. I think it's going to be Jaden Daniels. I don't know how serious that injury is going to be, but they got postseason aspirations. Jaden Daniels coming into his second year. He still hasn't gotten his rhythm going with Scary Terry McLaurin right now. But for me, I think it's going to be Jaden Daniels because this is a guy that you already know what you have moving forward. But everybody knew that with the entire National Football League having 17 weeks worth of games to be able to game plan this young man, the knee of Jaden Daniels. I know if I'm not mistaken, Desmond, I think they got a new stadium coming to DC here soon. I don't know when they're going to do that, but Jaden Daniels to me, because I think Brock Purdy survived when you look at what Mac Jones was able to do. I don't know how Tyson Brown did a really, really good rob and roll against the Jaguars, but for me, I think it's going to be Jaden Daniels because he means so much to that offense and that entire team.
Jaden Daniels out with a sprained left knee. He did not practice on Wednesday. That was an injury he hurt Thursday night in a loss at Green Bay. So that was September the 12th. Haven't heard word yet if he's going to be available to go with that sprained knee. And of course, you mentioned it there, Joe Burrow out. They said 3 months. It's pretty much, to me, it's season ending. 3 months, and we're in September the 18th. You're talking, past Thanksgiving? So, it's longer than that, actually. Yeah, you're talking about Christmas. Yeah, so that's a little bit ways out. And who knows where the Bengals are going to be at that point. They're kind of lucky that they're not lucky, but they're blessed that they're 2-0 instead of 0-2 like they normally are in September. So if they can go like 500 with like Jake Browning at quarterback and go 6-6 or something like that, and then Burrow comes back and they're like 8-6. Can they sneak in at Tennessee? Yeah, they can, but I don't know if I'll be that concerned about him. You mentioned some of the other ones also, there was like 5 of them in week 2. Brock Purdy with the toe in the shoulder. Mac Jones came in and played pretty well for the 49ers. J.J. McCarthy with a high ankle sprain.
Yes.
That what happens? Let me ask you, what happens if Carson Wentz actually comes out and plays well on Sunday? Because really, we haven't really seen a lot of J.J. McCarthy. This is year 2. We've really only seen him in like 8 quarters of like actual play, and he's really only played good in one quarter of it. So what would you do if you're the Vikings and Carson Wentz comes out there and lights it up with McCarthy on the sideline?
I think because McCarthy missed the entire rookie season, and this team has learned how to win without J.J. McCarthy. I think for a guy like Carson Wentz, he saw what Sam Darnold was able to do in 2024. I'm not saying he's going to do that in 2025, but Carson Wentz has been on, I want to say 16 to 6 years or something like that. It's been a. And I think for him, it's the resurgence. You look at what Baker Mayfield is doing in Tampa. You look at what, Jared Goff did, with the Lions. You look at, different, you look at, I guess when you start talking about what it can mean, is what Carson Wentz has is a good team around him. And I'm going to keep saying this, Desmond. If you can't find a way to get the ball to Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson, you don't deserve to play quarterback in the National Football League. So I think for J.J. McCarthy, I think for him, he's never going to be a burden on the team. So when he does come back, he understands if he has to wait because he saw what happened last year. But I think it's really going to depend on the momentum of what's going on with Minnesota because, I was very, very wrong about this entire division. I thought it was going to be the Lions to lose, but Green Bay and Jordan Love got something to say about it. I don't know what's going on right now with the marriage of Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson. That's going to be one to watch. So I think Minnesota has become a very, very intriguing team really, really fast at the quarterback position. If Carson Wentz if he is the answer, you roll with him. But if he's a good enough fill-in, and I think Carson Wentz understands that his role in the NFL now is that of a mentor to keep getting NFL checks. But it's going to be interesting to watch.
You mentioned earlier when you were talking about Jalen Daniels, the news that dropped earlier today. They are getting a brand new stadium in an old familiar stomping ground. Did you ever play at RFK?
Yeah, man, no, I played a FedEx
Okay.
field, and FedEx Field. It's about it looks like a college stadium. It was huge. FedEx Field was huge. But I will say this: there are certain teams that I think it's good for DC. I think it's good for the city, good for the team. Because you look, Jacksonville's supposed to be getting the new one. And,
yeah.
I think the Titans are supposed to. When you got teams like Jacksonville and the Titans, nothing against them. I played for the Titans, played in that division. They're not what drives the league. Washington helps drive the league, whether it was and you got a guy in Jaden Daniels who is not going to be the face of the league, but he's one of them, and he has a shot to be a face, the face of the league. But yeah, I think it's great for DC, and like I said, there's a lot of teams going around getting new stadiums right now. I think Kansas City is trying to decide are they even going to keep the stadium in Missouri, or do they go to Kansas City? That's not being talked about a lot. I don't know. I don't know how crazy that's gotten. But yeah, they're really trying to decide, do we stay in Missouri or do we go, 10, 20 miles to Kansas City, Kansas? Man. Oh yeah, man. It's
Arrowhead. That's like leaving Cody Field. Like, what are you talking about doing? That's crazy. Like, or leaving Lambeau. Like, that's no. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, with the Commanders, for me, I have sentimental attachment to them because they were really the first NFL team. The 85 Bears were the first NFL team that I kind of fell in love with when I first kind of understood the rules and was watching football. I'm like 7, 8 years old watching that Super Bowl and watching those Bears. And then it immediately shifted to the Redskins because they were the local team here. We didn't have the Panthers. So the 1 o'clock game was always the Washington Redskins playing against somebody. And then the 4 o'clock game would be the Dallas Cowboys. So the Redskins, they were on here in North Carolina every Sunday. And this was during the Joe Gibbs era. They won 3 Super Bowls. Like in the 80s, early 90s, like they were the squad. So I understand exactly what you're saying, that they're kind of a sleeping pillar of the NFL, I guess you could say, because a lot of franchises with 1 Super Bowl, and Washington's got 3, and they got a burgeoning star, Jalen Daniels, a quarterback. Finally, it's amazing how they finally got Dan Snyder out of there. Yeah. And as soon as he got out of there, the whole thing flipped. The whole thing flipped in like a year, like literally. And the stadium's gonna get built on the site. RFK is still sitting there. Actually, they're gonna tear that down, rebuild it. I remember the bleachers, like you could like bounce the bleachers, like the hogs in the stands and all that kind of stuff, man. The Redskin band, all that stuff. So they're gonna try to bring all that kind of stuff back. So I thought I saw today, I reported on earlier on another radio station, that stadium they're hoping to have it ready by 2030, so that they can host Women's World Cup in 2031. So we'll see if they can get that together in the next a couple of years. Got Ben Troupe in the house here with me, co-host of Winning the Division, a podcast that you can hear every week here on Tobacco Road Sports Radio via the Keep Pounding Podcast Network. It is a look around the NFL every single week, right after your games on Sunday, usually about Tuesday or Wednesday. They usually drop here on Tobacco Road. I wanted to ask about biggest surprise 2-0 teams out there, and I was going to pull up this graphic, or actually a picture that I taken, and I can't find it now, but I'm gonna find them all. The biggest surprise 2-0 team to you right now?
Ooh, biggest surprise 2-0 team to me right now. I'm gonna have to say because of not a surprise, but Green Bay. Because I think the thing about it was I had grown accustomed to what the Lions had built with Coach Dan Campbell. You talk about, but losing 2 coordinators, losing Aaron Glenn, losing Ben Johnson. But I think the thing about Green Bay is Micah Parsons. I mean, no one saw them getting him. I mean, nobody saw that. Coach LaFleur, look, anybody would love to have. There's only one team that don't want to have him, and that's the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
But I think the thing about the Packers is it's how they're winning. Like Jordan Love has looked good. He hasn't looked great. He's looked good. You talking about. I mean, their tight end that just went off. I think he's on the IR right now. But I think the thing about this Green Bay team is they're winning with defense. They're winning with solid quarterback play and offensive play. And I don't think they play their best football right now. So for me, it is them. But I think the team that's the scariest of the 2-0s is the Chargers. I think when I think about Justin Herbert, he's right there. He's almost there, never right there. He's good, not good. Can he take the next step? Okay. Yep. Open up the season against Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes in Brazil. They get the win. Then they come back and have another impressive win I think the thing about this Chargers team is this. You know Harbaugh, they're going to play. They're going to run the football. They're going to play stifling defense, and they're going to play complementary offense. And right now it's working. Now it's only two games, but they look impressive. So for me, it's the Chargers as well. The Chargers in the AFC, Green Bay in the NFC.
With Green Bay, I've noticed just from seeing them from glances here and there, they got some juice. Like there's something with them adding Micah. They added some kind of juice to because they were already a good team already, and by adding him, it kind of added that stamp of the front office is behind us. Like we're going now, you know what I mean? And that does something to a crew. Hey, wait, I think
sorry,
boy Ryan Smith's in the house. No, it's all good. We're actually talking about our surprise 2-0 teams. I kind of sprung it on Ryan that we were doing this a little bit earlier than what I'd said for like the whole week, so I didn't know if he was gonna be able to see it in time because he's got toddlers running around his house.
Two under three is hard to manage sometimes.
So let me ask you, because we were on the biggest surprise 2-0 team in NFL right now. Who's the biggest 2-0 surprise to you?
I don't think this team's already been mentioned. If it has, that's okay. I think the Indianapolis Colts are my surprise 2-0 team. Daniel Jones, as I heard on Sportsman, like the ESPN show, if I'm not mistaken, that's the name. I think that's the name. If Daniel Jones keeps playing like this, we're gonna have to call him instead of Danny Dimes, like Danny like Diamonds or something. Like if he keeps playing like this.
His nickname is Indiana Jones. They call him Indiana Jones.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
I like that. Indiana Jones. I like that.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I've hated Daniel Jones for like pretty much the entire time I've known he existed because he was a Duke quarterback, and I'm Carolina fan. So like I never really liked him, and then Dave Gettleman drafted him with the Giants, who I have a past hatred for because he was the general manager of the Panthers and kind of destroyed the 2015 team. So he's always been attached to something I didn't like. So I didn't even know he was in Indy until like the offseason. So to see him having the success with the same team that Anthony Richardson couldn't get out the gate with is pretty remarkable. Sometimes it takes a couple of years for a quarterback to for things to slow down. It doesn't happen fairy tale wise like it did for Cam Newton or the way we see Jalen Daniels or an Andrew Luck or some of these rookies that came out just like going right away. It normally doesn't happen that way. We've been kind of spoiled with some of these quarterbacks. So to see Daniel Jones do that, that's pretty impressive. And back to what you were saying, Ben, the Chargers, it's on record. I wanted Jim Harbaugh to be the next coach of the Carolina Panthers. And I'm starting to feel like he turned them down as opposed to them not asking him, because it would have fit for him to come here and just basically strip the roster and do what he had to do. He has to have, well, he doesn't have to have, but in order for his stuff to work, the one thing I've noticed, he has to have a quarterback already in place. So like everywhere he's been where he's had success, he's took a quarterback that was kind of like raw clay and turned it into what they became. So San Francisco, or even before that, Stanford, Andrew Luck. He had Andrew Luck there. He goes to the NFL, 49ers, Colin Kaepernick, turns him into a Pro Bowl quarterback. Leaves there, goes to Michigan, finally wins a national championship. J.J. McCarthy, top 10 draft pick. We just talked about him at the top of the segment. Now he gets to San Diego, L.A., to the Chargers. He's got a Justin Herbert, who was a top 10 draft pick himself. And to your point, Ben, has always kind of been – I've always put Justin Herbert in the class with Trevor Lawrence, where it's like, yeah, they'll get you the stats and all that kind of stuff, but they haven't had a moment. They haven't had that thing where they won that playoff game, or that moment where you kind of automatically kind of pushed them to elite, like the way Josh Allen has, or Lamar Jackson, or of course Pat Mahomes. He hadn't had it. I think he's going to this year. I think that, which is actually going to lead to our next question. I think that the Chargers are going to win the AFC West, and I think they're going to run away with it because of the way they play football. Like Jim Harbaugh is all about the trenches, offensive line, defensive line. He's going to make sure he's got beef up front. They're going to run jumbo. They're going to be running right down your throat. They're going to tell you what they're going to do. And they're like, stop it. Like, this is true football. Stop it. We'll run it 8 times in a row if you can't stop it. So that mentality doesn't really exist in the NFL as much as it should. I wish my Panthers subscribed to that. And I just respect him as a coach. As a person, I don't know. I don't know all the other stuff he does off the field, whatever. I have no idea. But in terms of a coach, his record, the proof is in the pudding. But that kind of leads over to the other side. I was going to throw in the Cardinals. The Cardinals are 2-0 for some reason. I know the Panthers contributed to that, but
that's Smitty's team. Before the season, I got to give Smitty some love. He's a lover of Kyler Murray, and he thinks this is going to be either Kyler Murray he's either going to get an extension in Arizona, or he might be taking his talents elsewhere.
I was going to say he already got one extension. He's actually, I didn't realize until the Panther game Sunday, he's been in the league like 7 years, something like that.
I said coming into the season, Kyler Murray and Trevor Lawrence were the two quarterbacks to watch that they could be moved after this season, depending on how well they do. And I think Kyler Murray was, if I had to rank them 1 and 2, would be Kyler first, then Trevor, because Trevor has a first-year head coach, whereas Kyler does not. So based on the way, 49ers are a big game on Sunday. We'll see what happens there. Really quick. Did I miss the segment regarding the quarterback injuries? Did I miss that one?
Yeah, but you can chime in on that because we're just putting it all into this one segment here. So yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say Brock Purdy because Joe Burrow's the easy answer. Everyone's going to say that. I'm sure you already talked about him, so I'm not going to talk about him. But that is big. Brock Purdy. Mac Jones can beat New Orleans. That's fine. Can you beat the other teams on the schedule for the Niners, starting with Arizona in your division this week and the rest of the way? However, I think they said 5 weeks might be the long term for Purdy, so he's missed 1 already. So if he misses,
he's got turf toe too, doesn't he? And that what it's
a lesser version. What I saw was it means essentially he has like 1 torn ligament, whereas Joe Burrow has multiple torn ligaments, and that's why Burrow's out for the longer period of time. But yeah, I would say Purdy, if we're not counting Joe Burrow, because I'm just not going to take that easy answer, I would say Purdy's probably the biggest one because that team has a lot of expectations. Everyone just expects they're going to be like a 12, 13 win team with that schedule, and they can't finish any worse than they did last year because they had all those injuries. But
joining us, Ben Troupe and Ryan Smith, co-host of Winning the Division on the Keep Pounding Podcast Network. Look at the NFL Weekly you can watch on the Keep Pounding Podcast Network, powered by the Fans First Sports Network and TobaccoRoadSportsRadio.com. Turf toe, I want to say that ended Deion Sanders' career finally, didn't it? Wasn't that the last thing he had where he just couldn't get back from it? Because he had a number of little nagging injuries, but that last one was the turf toe, and it was like he just wasn't right after that. I want to say he had the toe amputated off or something crazy. So that's an injury definitely we need to keep an eye on, especially with Joe Burrow, because in Burrow's case, Cincinnati might have to start to rethink what they're doing, because this is like the second or third year in a row that Burrow's been hurt. He's already gotten 1 extension. You just gave money to the 2 wide receivers you asked you to do, which made it harder to sign Trey Hendrickson. You finally got that done. All this because Burrow asked for it. And honestly, with Joe Burrow, I know he gets thrown in there with Pat Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen's top 4 quarterbacks in the league or whatever. I don't know, because honestly, I feel like he's been riding the coattails of that Super Bowl appearance. And how long ago was that? That was what?
2021.
4 years ago? Yeah, so that's 4 seasons ago. Like they haven't, I don't know. I don't know. So we'll see how the Bengals do with that, because all indications they trust Jake Browning. So we'll see how they go with there. On the backside of that biggest surprise 2-0 team question, there's a team sitting at 0-2 that we have not seen at 0-2 in a very long time, and is the Kansas City Chiefs, led by Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid and company. Is the Chiefs' kingdom over? Because if they lose this Sunday, they will be 0-3, and I don't believe any team's ever made it to the Super Bowl after a 0-3 start. And we're used to them getting to the AFC Championship game at least. Usually the loser of the Super Bowl has a fall off the next year, and the Chiefs have kind of made it where that didn't seem to apply to them. But I'll ask you guys, do you feel like this Chiefs team is going to make the playoffs? Not even the AFC Championship game. Do you think they're going to make the playoffs after what you've seen the first 2 weeks?
Dan, I'll let you think on it. It sounds like you're not sure. I know I already predicted this, so I know what I'm going to say. Yes, I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think I had the Broncos in the second place winning the division instead of the Chargers, so maybe I flipped those around. But I think Kansas City will make the playoffs because they're 0-2. They're going to be 1-2. They're beating the Giants. I will take Crow if they come next week if they're 0-3. I just don't see the Giants beating them. Xavier Worthy's going to be back this week. Hollywood Brown is still there. Travis Kelce, we'll see what happens with him. Does Father Time catch up with him or something else that, with what happens with him? But I trust 15. I trust Andy Reid, 15 being Mahomes, and Andy Reid. I trust them, and until they can prove that they are not – like, I need to see last year, the one-score games, that part's not going to happen again this year. We all
because they had a lot of close games. And
but people forget,
they won some weird games. Yeah, they won some – like, they blocked a field goal at the end of one of those games and won it. The very first game of last year was the Baltimore game. The receiver caught the ball with his toe on the out-of-bounds marker or whatever at the very end of the game. They won a lot of stuff like that. Usually – you come back to the mean the next year. So if you won a bunch of those the year before, you're probably going to lose a bunch of those the next year. It is Kansas City, but their leading rusher is Pat Mahomes, man. Like, this isn't sustainable. It's not Pat Mahomes' game. Do you think they're going to make the playoffs after what you've seen the first 2 weeks?
I don't. And here's why I don't think they're going to make it. For everything we said about 2024, Pat Mahomes got away with a lot of stuff in his early career because it worked, because they were winning. He had to be super. He had to do all these crazy passes and different things. I don't think they're going to make it, Desmond and Smitty, for this reason. You're not playing your best football, but no one is, but other teams are still winning, not playing their best football. We have what Kansas City has done, Des, they built up a lot of stock in our mind. We always expect them to come back. There were people that were saying it's going to be a crazy second half in the Super Bowl because they got Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And people was like, well, the league is going to catch up there. Excuse me.
Okay.
Maybe I got Kansas City people don't want to talk about them. But I will say this. Patrick Mahomes, he's 30 years old.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce, 34, 35 years old. Chris Jones' best years are behind him.
Yeah.
Right? McDuffie is a really, really good safety. There is nothing about Kansas City that scares you anymore. It used to be, dude, we got to deal with this, we got to deal with that. No, they're trying to overcompensate. The first two games, two really, really bad plays was attributed to Travis Kelce. He's trying to do too much because he's trying to prove. And I think what happens is most teams won't have a legacy. Most teams won't have a dynasty. And we've gotten to see it. But the league is caught up. The quarterbacks have caught up. And this division has caught up. You didn't want a Justin Herbert to start figuring it out. You don't want a guy like Bo Nix to go to the playoffs his rookie season, and the Raiders are the Raiders. I mean, you know what you're getting when you talk about the Raiders. So I think the AFC West as a whole has caught up because Kansas City dominated the West. Yeah. It wasn't even close. So I think right now your division is caught up, the league is caught up, and I think what Philly has done when it comes to Kansas City is say, what are y'all so afraid of? If you got a D-line and you can play them straight up and you force them to play football, you got a shot at beating them. Not saying you're going to beat them. What hurt them the most is week 1 in Brazil. They lose to the Chargers. Like, they lost to the Chargers? Yes. And that means, wait a minute, man, they won't even come out of it because, and like I said, I think two teams going to come out of the AFC North. I think Pittsburgh and obviously Baltimore going to come out. When you're only going to have room, there's only so much room. I think Denver going to find a way to potentially be a playoff team in year 2, depending on what happens. There is nobody on Kansas City outside of Patrick Mahomes that scares anybody anymore, not even Travis Kelce. Xavier Worthy is really, really fast. Did he scare anybody in 2024? No. He's really fast. I didn't
really know what he was exactly until towards the end of the year. And even then, it was.
He's also a rookie. But
and he's a rookie.
But what I'm saying is, too, though, when you talk about a Kansas City Chiefs team, we're going to get. What they live off of is resume and respect. People respect them and their resume. Well, you got to update your resume yearly. And 2025 ain't looking like 2024. And I don't think nobody's scared of them because there's a certain level of intimidation going on the field with Pat Mahomes and company. Now it's all right. Let's see if we can play with them in the fourth quarter. Let's see who can make a play. And for 2 games, which is a small sample size, it's been other teams. It has not been them. And like I said, having a chance to win games ain't winning them. Almost winning means you lost.
It kind of feels like, and first of all, the Philadelphia Eagles, I think, exposed them in the Super Bowl. They kind of put the formula out there. This is how you beat Kansas City and Pat Mahomes. Like, they kind of put it, and then they did it again. So it's like, and Tampa Bay did it in the Super Bowl they lost in a couple years before that, where they did the exact same thing. You got to rattle Mahomes, get him off his spot, get it where the timing's all off, man up the receivers, and just make sure the run game don't get off. And you should be good to go. You'll rattle him enough to go. It reminds me of New England with Tom Brady. Like his career with Tom Brady, because people forget, he won 7 rings, 6 of them in New England, but he got the first 4 years, and then they did not make it back to the Super Bowl for 9 years or something like that, something crazy. So, and then he went back for a couple of years, 3 or 4 years again. This might be that era of Pat Mahomes' career where that starts happening, where they get in the playoffs as a wild card, or they win the division by the skin on their neck, and then they lose first round or in the wild card round or whatever. And it's like, can the Chiefs get back the magic? And then they have to flip the roster over a couple of years with Pat being there. Who knows how long Andy Reid's going to coach? Andy Reid's 66 or something like that. So
he's almost 70. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I think personally the window is closed. I think me and Jonathan Stewart on Believe in Panthers, we picked Baltimore Buffalo for the AFC Championship game because we
that's what I picked.
Both teams are they both have to get over this hump, and that hump is Pat Mahomes. Like, if Pat Mahomes ain't in the way no more, I don't see any reason why those two teams will not see each other unless it's the Chargers and they're in their
really
way.
Really quick. Let me add something really quick. This is going to be off topic, but for the Chargers really quick, can you imagine that if Joe Alt wasn't there? After Slater going down, that was a great pick by Jim Harbaugh. Everyone wanted him to get a receiver in the draft last year, but he's like, no, I'm going to get Joe Alt because he's the best left tackle in this draft.
That's what he does.
Thinking my right tackle, and then Rashawn Slater goes down, but thank goodness you had Joe Alt. You were right there, and I think he's a big reason at left tackle for their 2-0 start. And on the other side for 0-2, since we were just talking about Kansas City, Ben, as a foreign player, you might be able to talk more about this than I can. Does CJ Stroud and the Texans does CJ look? I don't want to, because again, I'm not comparing him and Bryce. That's not what I'm trying to do. Does he look like he's almost rattled? Does he look like he doesn't want to be there right now?
Behind that O-line, I bet he don't want to be there right now.
This week, he did not look confident at all in any of his answers.
Yeah, well, no, he does look rattled. But here's the thing about the Houston Texans. They have been the best team in a real bad division for 2 years. They've been the best. That division was bad. But you see what happened? And I think the thing about CJ Stroud is sometimes it's what they say about you and people expect that. Most people don't know about football like we do. So when you hear about a player, these transformation, they're going to transcendent type talent. They said that about Joe Burrow. They said that about Trevor Lawrence, right? They said it about Caleb Williams. Sometimes what ruins you is the narrative. He was a really, really good quarterback at Ohio State. Really, really good. Really, really good, right? But I think the thing about it is, when you have success, people don't look at your game as much because they're looking at what the team is doing. And I think for this Houston Texans team, they are the best team. Well, they were the best team in the bad division, but no one's afraid of them. The Titans, the Colts, or the Jags are not afraid of them. And now when you're seeing what isn't happening, all they have is a division. They're not going to have it outside of it. So CJ Stroud is not that different from Trevor Lawrence. They're not that different in how they play football. They don't have an in between. They're either really, really good or not. They don't have okayish.
I feel like too, CJ Stroud kind of got amplified because of Bryce's struggles rookie year in Carolina, because that was the narrative. It was like CJ or Bryce, which one should Carolina have picked? And then them picking Bryce, and then CJ had the year he had rookie year. I think got amplified because Bryce Young year was not as good rookie year. And then the Texans just kind of, I don't understand. I don't know why you would trade away your left tackle when you have, a young quarterback like CJ Stroud you're trying to build behind, but letting Laramie Tunsil go, I think that kind of disrupted the chemistry of the offensive line completely, where now Stroud looks like Bryce Young before they brought in those guards or whatever the year after his rookie year, where he had a piecemeal offensive line in front of him and he didn't know where it was coming from, like every play. Stroud's starting to like that a little bit, and it's because of the offensive line in front of him. And you're right, Ben, that division is caught up. I think the Titans are going to win some games with Cam Ward at quarterback. Indy's 2-0, like with Daniel Jones at quarterback. Like, what's going on here in the Jags? Trevor Lawrence, I saw him week 1. It doesn't feel like they're going to have him win games for them. He just needs to be the conductor and just direct traffic. And you've got pieces that you can get the ball to. They just went out and got you one, Travis Hunter. Like, they need to just kind of do that, and leaves Houston over here where it's like, before people were like, oh, they're going to be here for the next 4 or 5 years. They're just going to run this division like New England used to do in the AFC East. They all caught up in like a year. So now it's like, I don't know what you would do with that. I need to get you guys out of here, but I wanted to get your opinions real quick on not the Panthers and Falcons game on Saturday, because Dennis Cox covered the majority of all that stuff earlier. But I wanted to get your opinion on Steve Smith and his comments about the city of Charlotte. Have you heard this yet? What Steve Smith did? Ryan, you've heard? Okay,
I have been. Yeah, go ahead, Ben.
So Steve Smith got on the radio. I think it was WFNZ. I think it was Kyle's show down in WFNZ. Yeah. He got on there and he started talking about the Panthers and the fan base. He basically called the Panthers weak ass Charlotte fans, I believe was the exact quote. They got out. Charlotte people got mad. He started like mad. Like, he started getting like threats, like for like to square up and stuff like that on his social media. I saw today on Twitter he had to get on and actually issue an apology, but like, yo, I probably should. Well, you know how Smitty is. He wasn't going to apologize. He just he worded it in a way where it was like, I should have said it differently than the way I said it. That's the way he apologized. So my thoughts on this in terms of Steve Smith, does he need to I'm not really sure the question I'm asking here. Your thoughts when you heard this, like, was he speaking the truth? He just used the wrong words, because Carolina Panther fans can be a little sensitive, even though we have no reason to be sensitive whatsoever based off of our team history and like what we're doing right now and everything else. Was he right? Is basically, I guess, the question I'm asking.
I mean, go ahead. It just depends on what the context, right? I think it was Joe Ovius and Gilio kind of said something along the lines of this. When the Panthers are good, these fans will show up and they will show out. But when they're bad,
in 2015, it was on fire. Yeah,
they are going to also let you know, like, since David Tepper has been the owner, we've had 7 straight losing seasons. The product has not been there. And the Panthers fan base is telling you, okay, yeah, but we haven't done anything for 7 years. So why should we be proud of the city right now? Why should we be proud of the city of Charlotte? Because of the product that is being put out on the field. That's I think what.
And to me, it was a little bit insulting, because not really insulting to me per se. It was kind of like by surprise. I'm like, really? You're going to call out Panther fans for not being diehards when we've stuck with this team for 7-8 years? Like, I've literally done Believe in Panthers since 2020. I've yet to host a season where they've had a winning season. Like, and I'm still here, like, just plugging away. Each Sunday, it feels like a repeat of the previous Sunday, where me and Stu were like, what do we do different this week? So it's not the same episode as last week, because they did the same exact thing. They turned it over twice in the first 2 minutes and off we go. Like, it's one of those things. But I think he just worded it wrong. But that was the thing that kind of rubbed me a little bit, where I'm like, all right, I'm sitting here using 3.5-4 hours every Sunday on the Panthers, like, and just watching them implode more often than not, like, until it's too late to really do anything, and then they might go on a little run like they did last year. And I don't know, like, something got to give, because I think, to Ryan's point, the frustration, not just in Charlotte but across the state of North Carolina, has bubbled to a point where the fans are going to stop coming to games. Like, they're going to stop coming. They started doing that. They started doing that last year, and the year before. Like, it's just, they'll come in the beginning, but if they start seeing the same product again for an 8th straight year, they'll just stop spending their money on it. They'll go outside, do yard work on Sunday. Like, they'll go find something else to do. And a lot of them, that's what they say. Hold on, well, I guess I'm going to go finally do this honeydew list today, because the Panthers are playing at 1, and I don't feel like wasting half my Sunday on it. I feel like it changes my mood. Like, ask my wife. I can probably verify that. It changes my mood just watching them. It's crazy.
That's exactly what it is. You just hit on it. It's the mental capacity. They don't want their mental to be, as the kids say, the mental.
Stop messing with me.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
Like, leave me alone.
Yeah, but the thing about Smitty, though, I will say this about Smitty's comments: he ain't right, but he ain't wrong either.
Yeah,
he ain't
that's
right.
And
because here's the thing, right? If anybody has earned the right to say something about the Carolina Panthers fans, it is Smitty, because what he's saying is he's saying, look, we are an expansion team that has more tradition than the Lions. There are teams that ain't done half of and the thing is, because it has been done, you expect it just to be an easy turnover. No, whenever you go new ownership, new quarterbacks, new coaches, new scheme, new team. But I think what Smitty is really saying, he's saying, look, it's not gonna be pretty all the time. And he's been through it all. Smitty has been and seen it all. Listen, fan bases in Carolina or Atlanta or anywhere to where you ain't had success, they're looking around the league saying, well, they doing it over. That's a total different. You're looking at something totally different. I'm gonna say what Tom Brady said to Colin Coward. We always rank the players. We always rank the teams. Why don't we rank the head coaches? Why don't we rank the offensive coordinators? Why don't we rank the quarterback coaches? Which means if Bryce Young, just say Coach Canales is the 18th ranked coach. Okay, so I got the 18th ranked, but my offensive coordinator is ranked 25th. My quarterback coach is ranked 25th. As far as like all of them, because we think it's fair because they're NFL coaches. That's not true. Just because you're an NFL coach, you meet the qualifications. That doesn't mean you are meeting the qualifications as far as development. These players are not getting developed. The scheme that Bryce Young has to fit in, he might not fit. Like, he just might not fit. And who they're gonna blame? Coach Canales is gonna get a lot of blame because I don't like the coaches that coach and call plays. That means, I want to do a lot. I want to give Andy Reid is working, Sean McVay at work. Guess what? It didn't work with John Gruden. Take away 2002. What did John Gruden do? He didn't do much. I was on the 2008 Tampa Bay Bucks team that was 9-3, and then we played this team in Carolina that was 9-3. And D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart, they still running the football.
That the Jonathan Stewart stiff arm game
listen,
where he stepped on Rodney Barber to like hell.
I'm just saying, man, it was, and I think that sometimes great coordinators don't make great head coaches, but that's how they get hired.
Yeah.
But no one's going to tell that to Bryce. They're going to say, well, Bryce not getting it done. Look, all I'm going to say when it comes to a fan base is this. I need you to show up, period. Because if you don't show up, what else? I'm a Falcons fan, so I know how it goes.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just think that sometimes when it comes to the fans, this ain't microwavable type stuff. You don't stick it in there, press one, ding, it's ready. No, this going to take time. You got to whip it up. No one likes to see the cake made. But you're going to eat it. No one. It starts out as flour and eggs. It don't look like much. But you got to whip it up. And like I said, if you think that Bryce Young is not the answer, if Bryce Young coming for his contract extension and they don't extend him and they just let him hit the market, he going to be gone quicker than Michael Parsons. I guarantee it. Somebody will snatch. They will snatch that young man up quick. Because as small as he is, he's not on the injury list. I know guys 6'4", 6'5".
He doesn't get hurt. Yeah, he's very durable. He hasn't been hurt. He hasn't had a major injury. Well, here, let me knock on wood real quick. He hasn't had a major. Oh Lord, and I just set my dog off by doing that. He hasn't had a major injury his entire NFL career. So, that's an excellent point there. But to your point, Dave Canales did not draft Bryce Young. He got there the year before. So that's not his guy. Well, same with the who I think will be on the hot, or who is on the hot seat, and will probably be the first to get cut if this thing goes south really fast. Defensive coordinator Gio Evero. He was not a hire of Dave Canales. He was a holdover from the Frank Wright era where Dave Tepper wanted to keep him because he was a hot coordinator or whatnot. He wanted to pair him with Dave Canales, but Dave Canales did not pick him. That's not his guy. And they're running a 3-4 defense, and they don't have 3-4 players, which is why people are just running up the gut on Carolina. If they've got a good run game, you just run right up the middle in Carolina all day. They don't have a middle linebacker. They don't have that thumping safety back there. And they don't have a nose guard that plays in a 3-4. Derek Brown's not a 3-4 middle defensive tackle guy. Nope. That's not him. He never has.
Albert Haynesworth 2.0. They got him playing out of position, and they're judging him on it. They're judging him on
because he got paid.
Money for
So if they shifted this back to like a Steve Wilkes type 4-3 traditional Panthers defense, dudes would start to shine. Frankie Luvu didn't sign back here because he didn't want to play in the 3-4. That's why he's in Washington now. So things like that. It's like the Spider-Man meme where everybody's pointing at each other and you're trying to figure out like, well, who's going on and what's doing what. Panthers got to go to we'll take on Atlanta Sunday at 1:00 at Bank of America Stadium, and we'll just kind of see how that goes. This ran a little bit longer than I wanted to, but it was excellent stuff. These guys will be with me on Saturdays. Hot Rod Funderburg will be with us next Saturday also. We might throw a little college football in there too, but mainly NFL I wanted to keep it with as the NFL season was going on, and that'll carry us all the way to February. So we're going to get out of here. Again, you can catch us every Saturday, WWBG, 1470 a.m. in Greensboro. You can hear it across wherever you are at tobaccoroadsportsradio.com. The video is always at the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio. I'll be back Tuesday with David Glenn from the North Carolina Sports Network, my co-host every other week. We'll be chopping up what we saw that we liked over the weekend and maybe some more surprises too. But we'll see you on Tuesday.